Canelo Crawford is coming up this weekend and everybody's excited. Here in Vegas, the electricity is in the air. So look, even though these guys are combined almost 80 years old, it should be a good fight. And let me tell you why. Crawford is coming up 2 weight classes and he's coming off a year's layoff. So that's a huge advantage for Canelo. If Canelo forces his will on him, he'll probably be 190 pounds inside the ring on fight night. I give him a great shot in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th round to knock out Crawford. If he doesn't do that, then Crawford is gonna box his ears off. It might be another Mayweather versus Canelo. Remember when Mayweather was just schooling him and making him look silly? That can happen again this Saturday.
Bradley, real quick, Canelo Crawford, who you got next weekend? You don't know? You gotta pick one. You're a boxing fan. It's a good fight.
I like good boxing, bro. I'll probably go Crawford.
You gonna go Crawford?
That's tough. I don't know. I'm not a boxing expert. I don't know.
Are you gonna bet on it?
Hell no.
You're the man. Good luck with the Clippers next season.
What separates a legend from a god? For Terence "Bud" Crawford, the answer lies in a fight that many are calling impossible. This isn't just about winning another belt. It's about defying the laws of boxing, challenging a king in his own castle, and etching his name into eternity. As he sharpens his tools for the ultimate test against Canelo Alvarez, the boxing world is a chorus of conflicting opinions, with legends and champions deeply divided over what will happen when skill collides with sheer, unadulterated power.
Crawford kind of is guilty of that too in some ways. Like Amir Khan and Kell Brook, when Crawford got Khan and Brook, they're a shell of what they were before, you know? So again, it looked good on the resume, but they weren't really that, you know, those guys.
I'd argue neither of them looked good on the resume when they happened because everyone knew they were shells.
Yeah, by that point.
Yeah.
I mean, just because everybody's rah-rahing with their pom-poms when Canelo beats the same kind of guys doesn't mean that those guys weren't just a shot. Angulo was gone when Canelo fought. He dug him up out of the cemetery when Canelo fought him. And then Chavez, I don't even know what the point of that was, but obviously that was a money grab.
That was just Mexican versus Mexican money grab.
I get it. That was Mexican versus Mexican money grab. I get it. But you know, I don't necessarily buy into it, but you know, you can always nitpick. You know, this is fight week. There's conversation points. There's debate topics, and obviously the Canelo bandwagoners are going to have their say, and the Crawford bandwagoners are going to have their say.
Fight the absolute correct fight that he can fight, the only correct fight that he can fight. He does have a chance, and I think he could be victorious. If he doesn't fight the one way that he can only fight to win it, Terence Crawford has 6 ways he can win it. And my money will go on the man who has 6 ways to win it over the man who has 1 way to win it.
So you think Canelo has to kind of fight the perfect fight, right?
If he don't, he's in trouble. If he does, he should be all good.
For Crawford, the battle is won before the first punch is even thrown. I think what separates me from everybody else is my mental, he says, his confidence radiating, my work ethic, my risk-taking. This is the foundation of his greatness, a belief shared by legendary trainer Teddy Atlas. As Atlas puts it, Crawford is all about the intangibles. He's got ice water in his veins, he doesn't get affected emotionally, and he possesses a laser-like focus that allows him to process the fight faster than anyone else. In a sport where the physical is the easy part, Crawford has mastered the mental.
Opening half is him working behind the jab. If he does not work behind the jab, he is not geared for the tactical approach. And the only other approach, which is the Hail Mary, is that you hurt the gorilla neck boy. You know, this freaking gorilla exercise.
Don't rely on that.
He's hard to hurt, man. He's hard to hurt.
Don't rely on hurting Canelo. I think
that's what I'm saying. Triple G didn't drop him. All these fighters been hitting him.
Take a page from Bivol and Mayweather. What they do is they fought behind the jab. They kept their distance. They've used the entire ring, and that's something that he can bring to the table. Use that distance from
Bivol
both
backed him up.
But the funny thing is, with the extra body weight, is he agile?
Yeah.
Is the footwork going to be able to move, still use the ring, and as those later rounds, round 7,
that's what I said to you last week, 14 pounds matters.
9, 10, you know, as the pressure continues. You know, the other thing too is Canelo lost a little bit of his bite. He hasn't been tremendously devastating and taking people out. So that helps, that reestablishes the fight and is in Bud Crawford's favor there.
And a growing number of fighters are starting to believe that mental edge will be the difference. Keith Thurman thinks Canelo has lost a little bit of his bite and that the fight comes down to who wants it more. I know Bud wants it, Thurman says, throwing his support behind his fellow American. Jarrell Miller agrees, saying people are underestimating Crawford's strength and size and that he seems a little more hungry than Canelo. Stephen Fulton admires Crawford for even taking the challenge, believing that if he uses his boxing ability, he can pull off a victory that would make his resume 10 times better.
Both guys have such dynamic, boxing attributes. And like I said, Canelo has to press Crawford. He has to be able to use his size, bully him, and able to land them shots that are going to hurt him and put him in 2 frames of mind. Now, Crawford, on the other hand, as much as the size difference doesn't really look like there is a size difference, there is a difference in the weight they've been fighting at. And like I said, Canelo's been fighting as high as light heavyweight. Crawford, in his last fight, did go up to junior middleweight against Madrimov. He did seem to struggle a little bit with a guy at a higher weight. So now you're moving up to super middleweight, will have some effect. But again, it is the biggest fight of his life, biggest fight of Canelo's life, and you're gonna truly think that they're gonna be prepared for anything. But the big thing is, will Crawford be able to dictate the fight against a guy like Canelo Alvarez, who's the bigger man, the guy who's gonna be pushing the pressure. We saw the way he dictated and hurt Errol Spence.
But where would you rank this fight out of your top 3 to 5 of all the boxing fights you've called, you've experienced, you've watched?
In terms of the magnitude of the
magnitude,
fight?
Yeah.
I mean, of the fights that I've called ringside, it might turn out to be number 1. I've done Pacquiao fights, I've done Mayweather fights, I've done Anthony Joshua against Klitschko, those are big fights, but this will, listen, because of Netflix, this will be the most watched fight, championship fight, in almost 50 years. This is gonna be, because Muhammad Ali fought Leon Spinks in the rematch in '78, and they did 90 million TV sets, 90 million. And since then, what has even come close? The biggest fights have all been on pay-per-view, and they do 2 million buys, oh my God, 3-4 million buys, Mayweather Pacquiao. As I keep saying, if 5 people per TV set watch, that's 20 million people. This is gonna do multiples of that. So, so when you look at it from a commercial point of view, it'll easily be the biggest boxing event I've ever covered.
But for every expert who sees a path to victory, there's another who sees a brick wall named Canelo Alvarez. And that wall is built on one of the oldest truths in boxing, a sentiment perfectly captured by the legendary Bernard Hopkins. A good big man will always beat a good little man. It's that simple, and he's not alone. Jermel Charlo, whose brother just went 12 rounds with Canelo, gave a cautious but telling take. He believes if Crawford executes his game plan perfectly, he has a chance. But if he fails to do his job, he will not beat Canelo.
Well, all I know is that if you were in a Canelo Crawford card, that card would be a million times. It's still an amazing card, but you would have added a lot. Who wins, Canelo or Crawford?
I think it's gonna be a good fight, man. I'm going for Canelo, of course. He's the Mexican warrior as well. But Crawford, man, you can't neglect him or you can't underestimate him as well. He has a lot of skills, a lot of movement. He's a lefty as well. That's what Canelo has trouble with. I think it's gonna be an amazing fight, man. I just can't wait, and the best man wins.
You faced Canelo. If you could give some pointers to Crawford, what should he do to come out victorious in September?
I think you just got to watch the Bivol blueprint, the in and out. A lot of fighters getting stick now for being runners, Tom and Jerry and whatnot. But stick to what you're good at. Terence Crawford is an exceptional talent. He's won titles through the weights, undisputed at 3 weights now. And listen, if anyone can do it, it's him. I think the weight will be too much of an issue. Canelo is a special talent. And I think the weight will play a factor in the fight, but listen, Canelo once done it and made the step up to super middleweight. I would like Crawford to be more at light middle and middle to build into it, but you take these opportunities when they come, and that's what greatness is.
And then there are those who have felt Canelo's power firsthand. Ryan Garcia predicts that while Crawford will be able to land clean punches, they will ultimately have no effect. He has the best chin that I've ever seen, Garcia said of Canelo. I've seen Triple G hit him and he kinda like, and then he's right back on it. In his eyes, Crawford is biting off more than he can chew, and Canelo's relentless pressure and thudding power will eventually be too much.
Any advice to him?
First of all, he gotta go in there and he just gotta fight him. You know what I'm saying? He gotta go in there. I think Crawford just gotta go in there and do what he gotta do. You know what I'm saying? He gotta just be Crawford, you know, show his IQ, show him why he's a two-time undisputed, you know, world champion, and go in there with confidence. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. You know, it's a big weight difference, a big weight jump. You know, that could be a difference in the fight. You know, because obviously, you know, it's like me jumping up to heavyweight. Obviously, I'm a foot of power. I'm a foot of that size difference, you know, compared to my other fights. So I just think that he got to go in there and just be himself. And I said, if he loses, you know, we'll just all know that, hey, you know, he just jumped up 2 weight classes to be great. You know what I'm saying? It's not, he can't really, he's testing himself. He's putting himself, testing himself a great fighter. So, and I don't doubt him, you know, I don't got no doubt in my mind. You know, he's a 2-time undisputed world champion for a reason. So, you know, and I don't think none's gonna phase him in that fight. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the power, maybe the size, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, Canelo, he's not knocking Canelo out. So, he just got to go in there, just IQ.
Would you lean towards Canelo still in that fight?
I got faith in him. I think Crawford could do it. You know what I'm saying? I think he could do it. Just like I said, just the size. The only shit that throws the fight off is the size and, you know, obviously the power. And Canelo's IQ too, because Canelo got IQ. You know what I'm saying? And Canelo fought a lot much bigger guys. You know, so I know the Crawford's power ain't gonna phase him. I know Crawford's size ain't gonna phase him either. You know what I'm saying? So, but for me, I think it's a 50-50.
If you believe Crawford can defy the odds and make history, hit that like button and subscribe for more boxing breakdowns.
Yeah, man, I was thinking, man, like a lot of people is making a fuss about Crawford being out of the ring for over a year. You know, I'm not putting too much stock into that, man. I'm not really, you know, Floyd Mayweather's came back from after a year. Shoot, I remember John Jones, 3 years out of the game. You know, and I know it's a different sport, but it's still combat sports. 3 years out of the game, came back, faced the champion, beat him, beat the champion. You know, Crawford took the time to really build his body up, man, the way he needed to build it up. And I like his build because just looking at pictures and stuff like that, man, he put a lot of the weight on his legs. You know, that's gonna help with stability. That's gonna help with punching power. It's gonna help with his ability to be able to take a shot too. You know, he get razzled and dazzled in there from one of them big shots with Canelo. You know, he gonna have some stability. He gonna have a base to be able to keep himself up. Crawford has been working for this for the last year. He's been building. If you know anything about Team Crawford, man, and just anything about Crawford in general, he's probably one of the most disciplined athletes in the entire world. You know, he's a guy that stays in the gym year round, you know, never dull. You know, another guy Boot stays in the gym quite a bit too. He does. You know, I hear that from everybody. He's always in the gym. Crawford's the same way. He's a gym rat. Stays in the gym, always constantly doing something, you know, sharpening his tools, you know, working on his craft all the time, keeping a good weight. You know, Crawford in between camps, you know, he'll probably go up about 20-something pounds, you know, but it don't look bad on him. You know, it doesn't look bad on him. You know, when I had ran into him earlier, before this fight even was announced, you know, I would ask him, I'm like, how much you weigh? About 175. Not crazy, you know, not crazy. Nah, but he still looked good. It was a 175 in shape. It was a 175 in shape. Like, this dude can go run up and down the court, play basketball, you know? He can go out there and play football if he wanted to go play football, you know? Like, he's an athlete, a natural athlete, man.
That's not going to be Crawford, and that's not going to be Canelo. They're going to be their peak of what they are at this point. Because again, Crawford is 38 years old. Canelo will be 35 by then. So I think they're going to be the peak for what they are at their ages. But it's easy to go, wow, what have you done for me lately? That's usually how everyone kind of sees everything. So, but I think it's good. I think it makes the fight more enticing if people are thinking, a lot of people are thinking that Crawford can win. And don't get me wrong, Crawford can absolutely win the fight. I'm not saying he can't win the fight. But in terms of, you know, how I see it, it hasn't really changed my thoughts, because I know better than to just trust that last thing I saw, because there's a lot of confounding factors.
Stephen A. Smith didn't shy away from making a clear call. This is where the fight gets truly fascinating, because even the legends who are picking a winner can't help but acknowledge the greatness of the other man. Danny Jacobs called it a 50-50th fight, but admitted if he was a betting man, he'd lean slightly toward Crawford, while still recognizing Canelo as the rightful favorite. Johnny Nelson believes Canelo will be too strong, but admitted that Crawford may have seen a weakness in Canelo's last performance that others missed. And Manny Robles, one of the most respected trainers in the sport, called it a toss-up, praising Crawford's total package, but warning that it would be dangerous to sit there and fight someone like Canelo.
You got a love for boxing.
Yes,
Who
love
gonna
boxing.
win the fight, man? That's coming up, the biggest
Crawford.
fight in boxing.
Crawford.
Huh?
Crawford. I'm not hesitating. Crawford. I'm not even hesitating. Crawford.
You
will
gonna stand on that
Crawford.
all the way to September 13th?
I love Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo by decision. I can't see anybody knocking out Canelo Alvarez. But I do believe that if you can box and you can move, that you can beat Canelo. You can outpoint him.
That's right.
When I think about Canelo, one of the things that I don't like about Canelo, despite his greatness, and a neck as wide as Broadway, for crying out loud.
Right.
It's like almost every shot has to be a power shot.
It's a power shot, yeah.
That's not beating Crawford. I will confess, I think Gervonta Davis's trainer, Cal, I think he said this. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble if he decides to engage with Canelo, because Canelo is the naturally bigger, stronger fighter. And I don't care that Crawford's gotten bigger, and I don't care that Crawford's gonna go in there just as big as Canelo. Canelo is accustomed to fighting at the weight, and Crawford is not. And Canelo is a genius in this regard. You don't see him show up for fights not ready. He's always ready.
Always prepared.
He's always ready.
gotta give
He's
him that.
always prepared. So I think he's the slower fighter, though. And I think that Crawford is brilliant as a boxer. And I think that between switching to conventional and southpaw, using his jab and movement, I think that Crawford is going to outpoint Canelo because he's faster.
Perhaps the most insightful takes come from the fighters who have navigated these treacherous waters themselves. Sugar Ray Leonard, who famously moved up in weight to shock the world, knows that there's always a way to win, and he believes Crawford has the intelligence to find it. Caleb Plant, who went toe-to-toe with Canelo, encourages Crawford to simply be himself, knowing his versatile switch-hitting style can create problems for anyone. And Kevin Cunningham believes Crawford is special enough to find a way to expose Canelo's flaws and pull off the upset.
What about Ennis? He's the new addition to 154. He's yet to fight there. Canelo brought him in camp specifically because he's a switch hitter like Terence Crawford. What do you make of Ennis just not being in your division and then him contributing to Canelo's camp heading into this fight? Is that a good move?
I think it's good for Canelo's camp to have a fighter like Ennis. Because, yeah, he likes to switch right-handed, southpaw. I think Canelo probably didn't need that. But, you know, the fact that Ennis went might cause a little bit of drama. I think he did for a dramatic effect. But, you know, great fighter at 147, but 154 is a different division. They have me in there, so we'll see what he can.
On the same night as that, over in Las Vegas, Canelo Alvarez takes on Terence Crawford. What are your thoughts on that sort of super fight, I guess you could say?
Yeah, what a fight. Very hard to pick a winner, isn't it? Very hard to pick a winner because, like every good fight, you know, no one really knows the skill and competitiveness and ring craft of Crawford, or, you know, you can say the same things about Canelo, but just he has that size. And but I see Crawford in New York when Hamza fought Berlanga, and he doesn't look too small anymore. He's filled out a lot. He looks quite big. It's a great fight. I think they're equally matched in skill, and it's going to be one of the best fights. It's going to, like, when you see how skillful both fighters are, the tricks they have, and how they fight. it should be one of the best fights of the last, I don't know how many years. You know, it should be up there with the best fights we can remember.
But then, the iconic Jim Lampley enters the conversation, elevating the entire matchup to a near mythical level. He compares Crawford to a latter-day Sugar Ray Robinson, a fighter with multiple skills and a deep inner mean streak. He sees this not just as a fight, but as a spectacular intellectual matchup between the two ultra-professionals of this era, and yet even he leans slightly in favor of Canelo.
What about Canelo and Crawford?
Crawford. No hesitation. No hesitation.
I want to see that fight.
Big Bud. Big Bud. We're going to have to roll Canelo up. We're going to have to pack him up, baby.
But how hard is the jump from 47 to 68?
I mean, listen, it's a very big challenge. But what I said, with his skills and the way he's adapted to the size, brother, when I seen them stand toe-to-toe and side by side, I said, game over. Terence Crawford. And listen, don't be surprised if he stops him. I'm telling you.
Who?
Don't be surprised
if Canelo stops Crawford.
Terence Bud Crawford stops Canelo.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I love you. Skills pay the bills. See that, Cody? Skills pay the bills.
In the end, this isn't just a fight. It's a legacy-defining moment that has the entire sports world captivated. It's a clash of styles, of philosophies, of two of the greatest fighters of their generation. Will Canelo's power and size be too much for Crawford to overcome? Or will Crawford's sublime skills and masterful timing be enough to dethrone the king? The narratives are written, the predictions have been made, and now all that is left is for two legends to step into the ring and settle the score.